Okay, so I want to kind of vibe something a little bit here. So the thing I want to vibe a little bit here is I want to teach you guys about fill, stroke, circles, and ellipses in processing. And in order to kind of motivate something, I've got this picture that I took of a little fidget toy that my grandma gave me. Um, this thing is, in fact, a toy for small toddlers, and I love it. It really scratches my little ADD itch exactly where it needs to be scratched. So, I'm going to try to basically make a picture of this thing in processing, and in doing so, we'll learn something about strokes and fills and whatnot. So, first things first, I'm going to need my usual. And my usual is, I hope you're saying in your head, a setup and a draw. So I'm going to just paste those in so we're not watching me type for a long period of time. And then in setup, I'm going to need a window size. So looking at this thing, I'm not trying to copy this exactly. I'm just trying to make something that looks a bit similar. So what I did was I took my image and I dropped it into a drawing program. And I'm kind of thinking, okay, I made these little so I made these little squares that are 5 by 5. And I figured I'd probably count those as, I don't know, maybe 100 pixels. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a bit of them wide. So I'm going to say that I want to make my image 700 wide. And looks like it's 6 and some tall. So I'm going to go 600 tall. Actually, let's oversize this a little bit. Let's go 800 by 700. And again, I'm kind of vibing here. So, like, if it ain't quite right, it ain't quite right, and that's fine. We'll fix it in post or whatever. So first things first, I get my window. This kind of square guy is looking fine. So we'll close that. It's not quite square, right? It's just a little bit wider than it is tall. And then in draw, I want the background to be white. So I'm going to go ahead and make a background here that's going to be white. And I'm going to add myself a couple of comments. I want you to comment every line you write for at least the first few weeks in here. I know it gets really annoying once you know what things do, but trust me, it's good for you. So I'm going to write set window size to, and I'm going to leave the 2 blank because I might change it. And then here, I'm going to put that we're making a white background. Okay, now, this kind of greenish one looks like it's about 250 down and about 200 over, right? So I counted, if that's over 100, that's over 200, and that does look like it's about the midline there. But the center of that circle's down a bit further. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, I want a circle. Let's spell circle, right? Jeez, Joe. Learn to type. Should have paid more attention in 4th grade or whenever I learned to type. Okay, and my circle needs to be at 200 over, 250 down, and wants to be, looks like about 150 in radius, which means it's about 300 in diameter. So I'm pretty sure this last coordinate is diameter. What would I do if I wasn't sure? I could run the code and see. So running the code, if that's 200 over and 250 down, it can't be 300 in radius because that would have it off the corner of the screen. So that is 300 wide. That's 150 over, right? So this is about 50 pixels here. That makes sense. All right. So I'm going to add a little tag here to myself, and I'm going to call this the lime circle. And then I'm going to need to find lime. So I'm going to go into my color selector. I'm going to bring my color selector over here, and we're going to go into green. And we're going to go find something that looks like that green, but a bit brighter. You can copy down these 3 numbers, or you can just hit copy. That'll copy the hex code. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set the fill and I'm going to put that color value in. So the way fill is going to work is that's going to be like what color marker is picked up. So we're going to hit run, and we're going to get a lime green marker, or a lime green circle with a black edge. So the black edge is about the pen, and the fill is about the color that you're filling with. So I like to think about those as a pen that you use to draw the outside edges of a shape, and a marker that you use to fill in the shape. So think about it as I have a pen and a marker. And right now I've got this lime green marker in my hand, which means that if I draw a circle after drawing this one, it's going to be line. So let's go ahead and try that. So let's look at this pink one here. So I'm just kind of eyeballing, that's about 150 down, and looks like about almost 500 over. So let's put that circle in place. So this is going to be the pink circle. And that's going to need to be, oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted circle. So I'm going to copy this. Oops. I'm going to paste it. And then I'm going to set those coordinates. So that was about 150 down and about 500 over. And that thing is in size, oh, I don't know, we could count up here. So let's see, counting wise, we're kind of starting there-ish and ending kind of there-ish. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 of those things wide. So it's almost 200 wide. So I'm going to put 200 in there. And let's see what we get. Okay. Something's gone wrong. That's not where I wanted it at all. So what's gone wrong? Okay, I'm hoping that you're noticing that I've swapped these two coordinates. It's super easy to do. I counted the down first because it was a smaller number. And I just put them in backwards. Happens all the time. So what do we do to fix it? Cut that one out, paste it over here, sorted. You can hit Control T if you want to fix the spacing. Okay, so now I've got my lime circle. I've got a pink circle, except my pink circle's lime. So what do I need to do? I need to go into my color selector here, and I want to go find a pink. So I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to find a pink that I like. I'm going to copy that pink. And just before I draw the pink circle, we're going to set our fill. We're going to paste that value in. We're going to put a semicolon there. And now we're going to have a kind of pinkish circle. I'm not super happy with that pink. Feel free to go pick another pink. Like, I think that one might be a bit better. So let's swap that kind of lavendery pink with a slightly more neon one. Okay, that's looking good to me. Okay, let's take a look at something like this orange one. Okay, so that orange one is, let's see, over-wise, we're 600 pixels over, and down-wise, we're about 350 down. So let's make ourselves another circle here. I'm just going to copy all this, paste it here. We're going to need to pick a different color. But I just had coordinates, and I said it was about 450 down and about 600 over. And that circle looks to be about 150 wide. So I'm going to hit run on this. I've got my circle. I'm not like incredibly happy with where that ended up. So let's scoot that up a little bit. So if we want to scoot it up a little bit, I want you to think about which number we want to change here. That's going to be this number, and I want to make it a bit smaller. So I'm going to make it 400. That'll scoot that up a little bit. And then I'm going to go pick my orange color. So I'm going to go into orange land here. I don't really like that color. That's going to be a slightly better color. Okay, so we should get a nice orange out of that. And it's in about the right spot. Now, I want to kind of make this thing have a little bit of that border feel that this thing has. So if I want to change the border, I've changed my pen or my marker color several times here. I can also change the pen color. So right now the pen's drawing black. I'm going to switch the background here to something that's not white. So I'm going to make this a really light gray. So to make it a light gray, I'm going to do 200. So that's going to be a pretty light gray. And then we're going to change some stuff about the stroke. So I'm going to do that up here before we draw anything. I'm going to do stroke. I'm going to set the stroke to white. So that's going to be 255. Now when we draw these, we'll see a white outline. And then there's another thing I can do, which is I can set the stroke weight. So stroke is which color pen you have picked up. Stroke weight is how bold the pen is. So I might do something like stroke weight. And I might set this to 20. Let's see what we get out of that. So now I've got these heavy white circles. And now I can start to think about making this shape. So there's a little cheater trick here you can use. If you want to get these like little scallops without kind of screwing around a whole bunch, one thing you can do is you can just increase the stroke weight until they hit each other, or you can scoot the circles closer till they hit each other. That'll get you a kind of a little cusp in there. If you want to make that, this scallop, there's a P-arc tool that's really complicated to use. So I'm going to let you guys explore that tool if you want. I'm not going to suggest that you actually dive into it unless you've got a little bit of math. You really need to have some trigonometry to get into it. But if you figure it out, it's pretty cool. And if you've got a little bit of a calculus mindset, or if you've taken calculus, you can absolutely crush this and get those little scallops in there and get them looking really good. The last thing I want to talk about here before I move on is I want to talk about an ellipse. So I'm going to make this orange one into something that's not quite a circle. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go down here to the orange one. Oh, and I've screwed up. I've made a comment that's a lie. This happens fairly frequently when you're copy and pasting code. Try not to turn in code where the comments are lies. It's very confusing for everyone. So try to keep your comments consistent with the code. So that's my orange circle there that I'm messing around with. So if I hit run here, didn't change anything. That's just my orange circle. Now, if I want to change the orange circle, I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to paste it. Then I'm going to comment out the first one. Here, I'm going to swap circle for ellipse. And ellipse is going to tell me that it wants one more number. So the way an ellipse works is these two are still the coordinates of the center of the thing. Now, for an ellipse, the first coordinate is the width of the ellipse, and the second one is the height. In a circle, they're the same. So if I want it to look exactly the same, I could put 150, 150, and that's going to give me exactly the same picture. If I, on the other hand, want to make it a little funky looking, if I put a 250 here, that's going to be 150 wide and 250 tall. So that's going to be a little guy that looks like this. It's going to be taller than it is wide. So we could hit run there. We'd get a taller than wide rectangle or ellipse there. And if we wanted to swap it the other way, we could do 250, 150. Okay. So that's kind of how we can start doing something like this. A thing I might do to make a shape like this make sense is I might make a white ellipse behind it and then put all my circles on top. So what that might look like is I could go in here and I can make a kind of a background ellipse, right? So this is no longer an orange circle, it's an orange ellipse. And here I could make a white background ellipse. And I'm going to think about that ellipse. So that toy is roughly centered up. Let's see, center looks like it's about 300 pixels down and 400 pixels over. So I'm going to make an ellipse, and we're going to start it at, sorry, I said 400 over and about 300 down. Okay, so that's about here. And then we need to give it some sizes. So I think that thing is maybe 600-ish wide and maybe 400 or 500 tall. So I'm just gonna give it, I'm not gonna make it a circle. I'm gonna make it pretty noticeably an ellipse. And now if I hit run on this, I'm gonna get an error. So it says that I'm missing a semicolon. I am in fact missing a semicolon. Okay, now you probably ought to be asking yourself, wait. I thought when the sketch started, the marker was not, like the marker was white when I did this earlier. When I was first drawing a circle, the fill was white, but now it's friggin' orange. What is going on here? Okay, so here's one of the things that's happening. Draw is a loop. So draw tries to go through and run this code that's in draw 60 times a second or as fast as possible. In this case, my sketch isn't very complicated, so it is actually rendering 60 times a second. That's not really visible here because everything in here is kind of static. Nothing's changing in every loop, and so everything's getting drawn over top, right? But what it means is the first time through the loop, it draws that ellipse white. The trouble is your eyes can't see the first frame. They're just not that quick. So when I hit run, if your eyes were super fast, you might have seen the ellipse be white once. But it's 1/60th of a second, and then it's immediately orange after that. So if I want to make it, go back to being white, I can do fill, and I just need to put in a color for white. So the color for white is 255. So now I'm going to have a white ellipse, and then I've got my circles, and they've got their nice fat white borders from that stroke weight. So we're kind of getting towards making this little shape. I'm going to let you guys make the little shape because the video is getting a bit long, and I've talked about what I want to talk about. But if you want to make the rest of this cute little shape as a little exercise, feel free. See if you can get it working. See if you can get it looking half decent. You might fiddle with the values a little bit to scoot the circles around, make them bigger or smaller. See what you can do. I will catch you guys on the next one where we're going to start learning a little bit about randomness. All right, catch you later.